Alright peeps, here we go. So, I've been playing around with UV light and UV ink recently, and I want to show you first off what we've got going on here. We're going to turn off the lights, ooh, and get a little spooky. So what I've got here is a book light, that I have torn the LED out of and replaced with a couple of UV LEDs that also take a total of 6 volts, since this thing had a built-in battery holder that held holds two coin cell batteries, which are 3 volts each. I found that I can power 2 UV LEDs with that. Alright, so I've got this UV ink from Noodlers, which is called Ghost. And when you write with it on paper, it creates this invisible message, except when you use the UV lights to reveal it. So under regular light, this paper just looks blank. You might be able to see that. But when I shine the UV on it, the secrets appear. So I'm going to show you how to do that, ideally by doing it with this strobe light that I also picked up, which is a spooky blue strobe light, and I want to mod that to do UV, and also to be able to simply turn it on and off with a switch, and then I'll be able to use it as a regular UV lamp for doing writing projects like this. Cool. So here's another look at that Noodlers ink, which I mentioned, which is super cool. It's really beautiful packaging, and it looks basically clear. And on the paper, it's also invisible. Yeah, I can't even see where I wrote that thing. Let's see. And the light here is probably bright enough that I won't be able to find it. Oh no, there we go. Spooky secrets. See? Isn't that cool? But yeah. So then I also have this blue strobe, which came from Spirit Halloween store, and it has a 4.5 volt battery hookup that takes 3 AA's. I'm going to see if I can swap that out with a 9 volt battery, which should be able to power 3 of these LEDs. The packaging says that they take 3 to 3.2 volts each, and that matches up with what I found with the book lamp. It was able to power 2 LEDs off of 3 volts, or off of 6 volts, my bad. Yeah, and the batteries are hooked up in series. I think the LEDs are hooked up in parallel. How's it go? No, they're in series too. Yeah, cool. So let's see, let's start taking this thing apart. This is my blue strobe, which I'll show you once again in the actual light. Oh yeah, it's probably gonna mess with my video stream. But I've got a switch so that I'll be able to turn the thing just straight on and off. And then also a 9 volt battery connector that I want to basically swap out with this existing battery hookup. Let's take these out first, because you never really want to work on something while it's got power. Okay. And now I've got a screwdriver here with a Phillips head. Let's get you out of the way. I had a solar-powered light pack as well, but that only gives 1.2 volts, which is only enough to power half an LED. These guys take a lot of voltage. Come on. Unscrewing stuff from boxes is not the most exciting thing, but you can have a look if you want. There we go. More unscrewing. Let me show you the booklight real quick. This is just a standard booklight that I got off of Amazon. It clips to your book over here, or in my case to, you know, the notebook that I was writing in. And then under here you've got the batteries. I'll just take that apart first. Since we're in the spirit of hardware hacking. I didn't stream this one because I was like, I don't know, how's it gonna go? And so maybe this new version won't work. The whole, like, you know, watched pot never boils, watched hack never works kind of thing. Live demos are known to be a nightmare, but this one worked out okay. Okay, here we are. So you've got this connector over here that connects the positive side of one battery to the negative side of the other. Come out of there. You've got the switch, which pushes up this contact into that battery, physically pushes the contact into the battery. Oops, this way. How's it go? Yeah, okay, this is the ground side, so that's hooked up to the ground side of the LED here. Its positive leg is hooked up to the ground leg of the other LED, and the other LED's positive leg is hooked up to the positive contact on here. Oh wait, no, that's ground. I'm a liar. This is positive side down, so we've got positive going from this battery to the positive leg of this LED. Ground to positive, ground to the ground side of the other battery. And then that way you have the batteries are connected in series. Here we go. And so are the LEDs. It's a little tight in here, so I didn't actually put any heat shrink on these guys, but they're far enough apart that they don't actually contact each other. There we go. And so the next thing we're going to do is open up this existing blue LED light pack and have a look at how everything is connected. My assumption is that I'll just be able to swap out these 5 or so blue LEDs with 3 of the UV ones and stick a 9-volt battery pack in it. Because again, these UV LEDs are going to take more voltage than the existing LEDs that are in here. Okay, you know what? I can finish putting that back together later on. That's the boring part. Okay, let's take some more screws out. Where were we? These are in there deep. Okay. And then you can see here you've got, how many have we got in there? 4 blue LEDs. So we won't actually be reducing the brightness much. And these are LEDs, you can see clearly that they are blue, which means that probably underneath there they have a white light emitting diode, and then they just have a blue sort of cap over them, a gel, as it were, that's spreading out the light. Oh, come on. Well, that one's being reluctant to come out, but I'm gonna hit this last screw here. I think it might be because the case is already coming apart a little bit. And that can make the screws not want to come out. Come on, dude. Quit being reluctant. Okay, well, this thing pops apart anyway. And the screw popped out too. So here's the back with that 3 AA batteries in series. Dum, 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 dum. And this is incredibly simple. Okay. So we've got this little circuit board on here, which connects to this potentiometer that is controlling the speed at which the whole thing blinks. Let's pull this out. Actually, the light system just slides out here. Thump. I apologize for the extreme lighting. It's because I'm swapping between dark and light here. Here we go. And I'm going to want to just pull this off of here. Easy. I'm going to slide that back in there for safekeeping. Cool. So as you can see, these are actually... How does this hooked up? This guy goes to those guys. Those are all in parallel. Okay. So they're all in parallel. That's cool. I'm going to take these off. The soldering is the fun part. I'm heating up my iron right now. I guess I'll put this other thing back together again. There, done. That was easy. And let's have a look at that spooky message again. I did a couple of different versions of it. Here's the secret messages. It's really hard to see with this white balance, but you get the idea. Spooky secrets. So there are a number of things you could use this for. One of them is like an escape room, or a scavenger hunt, or anything where you want to be able to write stuff in public and have most people not be able to see it. That's pretty cool. Let's take this out. I'm just gonna heat it up and pull the LED out. This is a little rough, always because you're trying to heat up two soldering contacts at the same time. So I think I'm gonna have to add a little bit of solder to my soldering iron so that I can get good thermal contact with both. If you really want, you can find some better way of holding onto these, but that works pretty well. You just pull out, and I should probably be taking note of which side is attached here, but you pretty obviously have, let's see, this is the ground line. You've got the flat side of the LEDs going this way, which means that's going to be the ground side when we reattach. Basically, I'm going to desolder these guys and then solder on the other ones. Ooh, what if I left one of the blue ones in? Nah. One reason for doing that would be so that I could have a visual indicator in regular light that the thing was strobing, but I don't care that much. I'd rather have maximum power going to the UV LEDs. So what I'm going to do now is these holes have some solder still in them. So I'm going to use this solder sucker to remove that. And the way we do that is, ooh, pardon. The way we do that is heat it up, in this case with my left hand, and stick the nozzle of this guy in there, and it yanks out some of the solder. I need to do that again. Come on. Oh, that worked. Sometimes you can just melt the solder and it'll come out of its own accord, but yeah. It sometimes takes a few tries. What I should do is have this in a third hand so that I can keep it stable instead of it running away from the solder sucker. Let's do that. The nice thing about these all being in parallel is that I don't have to worry about bridging any extra connections because, yeah, let's see. There we go. Hard to talk and do this at the same time. I don't have to worry about bridging any extra connections because since they're in parallel, not in series, there is no connection to be broken. All the other things are connected to the circuit anyway. 3 of the LEDs being connected, they don't need that 4th LED to be there in order to complete the circuit. Let's see, is that all the way through? Yes, good, cool. All right. What are we doing? We're grabbing 3 of our LEDs here. Since the LEDs say that they take 3 to 3.2 volts, and my battery is 9 volts, I don't really have to worry that, give it back. I don't have to worry that they will get too much voltage, and I also don't really have to worry about them not working. They'll just be a little bit dim if they are in fact power hungry. And these were pretty cheap on Amazon. I just got them like a week ago. Like a 100 pack for maybe $5. It wasn't bad. I'm orienting these LEDs in the same way that the old ones were oriented, which is that they have their short legs, the ground leads, to the left. I'm going to turn my brightness down a little bit because I think we're getting a little bit blown out. There we go. Cool. So here we are. And I'm going to solder these in from the other side. In fact, first I'm going to pull these legs to the outside so that they actually stay in really nice and firmly there, because they're kind of flopping all over the place right now. Here we go. That's much nicer. And now they should be much easier to get to go straight into those little holes in the diffuser. Okay. I'm getting some nice little concave solder joints here. Two more connections to go. Cool. Now the other thing that I have to do here is give them enough power. And I accomplish that by swapping out the existing battery pack with the 9-volt connector. And what I think I can do is just physically replace this. Can I just stick that in? It kind of fits. If I take the spring out, yeah, that should work. So I should be able to maintain the same form factor that it had before. And that's very exciting for aesthetics. Actually, you know what? I could probably just... I wonder if I could just fit it in there underneath. Well, let's get this back into the diffuser first. Then we can figure that out. Doop. Fits. Cool. Now here are the wires for the... Ooh, maybe I don't even need... I could always also Dremel out this area if there ends up not being enough space. But I'm going to stick this under and see if the whole thing will go back together, just as is. Yeah, cool. But I guess I'd like the battery to be a little bit more accessible, so if I do it like this, I can just pull these out. These are the battery connectors for the AA's. You might need a little bit of pliers assistance. I'm just using my side cutters here. Oh, come on. There we go. They don't want to come out, but you can make them. Are these oh, of course, this guy is soldered on here. Let's take this out, because that's going to hold the thing in place. So will this one. Let's see if we can just pull this out to make more space for the 9-volt battery. Grrr. Guess what? I've got clippers and I'm not afraid to use them. Have no mercy when you're doing hardware hacking. You really have nothing to lose. I've also got another one of these just in case I mess it up too bad, but I'm guessing it's going to be fine. Otherwise, watch out next week for our thrilling sequel. Let's get this one out too. It's not even really in the way, but for completeness' sake. That one's not really causing much of a problem. Okay. No, that will not close while it's like that. Okay, in that case I'm going to tuck the battery inside. I can always take the screws out and close it up again. So that'll still look pretty nice. Let us attach these wires now to the 9-volt connector. And I'm going to shorten them a little bit because we don't need all that space. Ooh, I should grab some heat shrink tubing as well to protect the joints. Give me 1 second. Okay. And we're back with this gorgeous drawer full of heat shrink tubing. It's super colorful, I love it, and it's got black and red all ready to go. What I should have actually is a lighter, which makes it really easy to shrink this stuff. But I don't, so oh well. I'm going to cut off a certain amount of heat shrink, and this should be enough to cover each connection. I'm going to slide them onto their respective wires. Always put on your heat shrink before you solder the wires together, or else you're going to have to redo the connection, or just use some electrical tape, which is not nearly as good. It's less fun, it's less cool looking, it's sticky, it's gross, don't do it. I'm shortening both sides of these wires. There we go. And I'm gonna strip them with my wire strippers, these guys here. We have 2 different thicknesses of wires, but that doesn't really matter. I'm gonna try this on a larger gauge. Cool. Looks like 0.35 or 24 gauge is the way to go. Arc. Cool, we've got 2 ends here. I'm gonna tin them. Yeah, so again, the goal here is to build some UV lights that can do a strobe effect for something spooky in case you want, especially with the appearing messages and stuff. There's so much you can do with like a haunted house. For example, if you want to have a room where there's UV light and there's stuff written on the wall in UV ink, but it only shows up when you strobe this light at it, like that'd be pretty creepy, right? Sort of Stranger Things style. I've never seen this show, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't tell. Clipping these little wires in here as well. Maybe I should have just left those because they were all happy and tinned already, but whatever. Oh, nope. There we go. Okay. The thing with soldering wires together is that typically the casing is going to shrink back a little bit anyway, so you can tin them, or you can cut them a little shorter, or strip them a little shorter than you actually need. There we go. And there we go. Cool, nice big fat beads of solder on the end of there. Attach these guys. Yeah, I've been trying to upgrade various USB appliances, lamp things with these UV LEDs, but they just take so much power that, like, a USB device can barely even power 2 of them to a minimal brightness. And really, you want to have, so USB is going to give you 5 volts, right? Each of these takes 3 volts. It's just not going to get you where you want to be. So, here we go. I could have used much less heat shrink on that, but oh well. Where's the joint? It's in here. Cool. This is not the way you're supposed to do heat shrink. It's smelly and it's stupid, and it's the way that I do it as a last resort if I don't have a lighter or whatever. Actually, maybe I do have a lighter somewhere. But yeah, you can just use like the barrel of the soldering iron to shrink it down. Be careful, of course. You do have to go around the whole way, and you don't want to get your fingers in there and stuff. It also leaves these like marks on the heat shrink. But I mean, it's all going inside the lamp anyway, who cares? So yeah, the recommended way to do this is to use a heat gun or a butane torch or a lighter. Anything really that doesn't require getting your soldering iron all down and dirty. You can also have more patience and simply just like heat it without contact. But I'm the kind of person who burns my marshmallows when I make s'mores because I don't want to wait. I just want results. And by results, I mean tasty, tasty s'mores. That's what we should do a hack on. S'mores. Then I'd have an excuse to eat candy at the office. It's foolproof. Plus, I have this amazing idea for a s'mores food truck. You know, just in case the whole electronics thing doesn't work out. Yeah. Hope my boss isn't listening. Yeah. So let's just plug this in now and see what happens when we turn up the strobe. Hopefully, we're gonna get, ah, yes, there we go. Strobing UV action. Cool, that worked stunningly well for a first try. Okay, let's get this paper under here. Have a look at, okay, I'm gonna first turn off the soldering iron. And if I weren't doing a live demo, I would be going to wash my hands right now because you always want to do that as soon as possible. Definitely I'm going to wash my hands before I eat anything. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Oh, look how the strobe looks in the video. That's so cool. Spooky secrets. Now the last thing that I want to do here is put a straight up on-off switch in here to bypass this potentiometer because I want to be able to just turn it on and off so that when I'm creating my design and not doing the spooky strobe effect, then I'll be able to yeah, just have it on and not give myself bad times. Yeah. So let's see. How is this potentiometer hooked up? Let's take this apart again. We've got the power cable in here. Ideally, what I want to be able to do is just hook up power and ground to the LEDs, and that means probably splicing in another cable, which means I probably shouldn't have soldered these together already. Whoops. Yeah, because I want to be able to bypass this entire chip system. Of course, the danger with that is that I might end up making the whole circuit unhappy in some way, like if the chip gets some kind of feedback. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do, let's see, do we have any direct connections to these circuits? What do we got here? We've got a ground wire. I kind of love this method of figuring out a circuit by shining light through it, through the PCB. So you can see the copper traces really well because there's only a thin solder mask. You've got your ground wire over here, goes to the chip, we've got our power wire over here, goes to the chip, and also directly to the LEDs. That's good. So in that case, oh, you know what? I don't have to splice to the wire at all. I can just splice from here to there with a switch, and then I don't have to mess with what I've already done. Cool. So I'm going to show you what that means. Again, we've got the ground wire that goes directly to the chip, and we've got the power wire going directly to the LEDs and to the chip. If you can see that. Magic, isn't it? It's so cool. Oh yeah, and then I'm going to take this ground wire and splice it to this little ground connection here, which is so convenient, via a switch. Where's my switch? Switch. Here we go. Cool. This is an SPDT switch, which is single pole double throw. Oh, come here. I'm gonna make a note about future explainer videos. I got a new series of videos coming up for while I'm gonna be traveling, and so let's see. And I'm making notes for things to go into. They're gonna be really basic, but kind of cool, I think. There's no way I can just, no, okay, I do have to put some wire in there. I've got all these, like, cut up wires already, so what I'm gonna just do is cut this one in half. It's black already, which means it's gonna be a ground wire, which is perfect because that's still what it's gonna be. And I'm gonna make it long enough, hopefully, that it'll be able to sort of come out the front of the enclosure. Will that work? That might actually work. Oh, cool. I'll have to take off this window, which is a little sad. Maybe I'll figure out another way. I might just actually cut out a piece of the enclosure. Is that gonna be long enough? Maybe. Put the thing over here. I'm gonna hot glue it in place, I guess, in the end. Let's put this back in the diffuser and see how much space we have to work with, and then I'll make the wires long enough to do that. Okay, so this guy is gonna go here. I want the switch to go here, next to the other potentiometer, which means that I probably want a little bit. No, that's long enough. That's plenty long enough. Cool, let's do it. And if I were to get really fancy, I would use a Dremel to make the little hole in the enclosure. A Dremel is a fantastic tool, also called a rotary cutting tool. It has these little sanding discs that just bite into whatever, they spin really fast and they'll bite into whatever you put them up against. So they have ones that are for metal and wood and stuff, and plastic. But being as this is a sort of cheap and dirty hack, I'm gonna just use my clippers to do it, to make a hole in the enclosure. And that's where I'm gonna put the switch. I'm going to put this up as a tutorial on Hackster as well. We've got a number of really cool Halloween hacks on there, so don't be shy. Go check it out. And what I'm doing is I'm tinning the connections on this switch. I'm going to hook up the wires to it. Oof, there we go. Now I'm going to switch it around. And adjust my focus here so you can actually see. There we are. I'm going to solder a wire to each of these connections that have been tinned. Coming in at a kind of a weird angle. Basically, I just added solder to each connection. Oh, that's really ugly. Okay, let's do this the right way around, huh? Yeah, I added solder to each connection, and now I'm just melting them together with the soldering iron. Ah! I need a little more solder on there. There are other ways of doing this, but I like this method because it's pretty quick and easy. That is so much solder. Come off of there. Oh well. Close enough. That one looks pretty solid. I'm connecting the wires parallel to each other, which means that they'll have a lot of surface area to connect with. Alright, and if I pull this way, it's not gonna like tempt one of them to, it's really strong against that. I'm gonna strengthen this other connection a little bit more just because that was an awkward angle. There we go. Alright, now what I'm going to do is hook this up. Let's get it a little closer. The nice thing about having such rigid wires is that I can kind of use them as a stand for this thing. Let's see. There we go. And where I'm going to be hooking this up is basically here to here. I have this existing ground connection over here. Ah! Come here! I'm trying to kind of blindly poke this wire through the old hole. It's not liking me. Oh, I know. These wires are separating. Ugh. Should have twisted them before I put the solder on. Normally I do. Round 2. There we go. Alright, and now I'm going to just attach this. Kind of a janky way. I'm going to bend it around so that at least we have kind of a hook to attach to. Oh, and you never got tinned. You did get tinned. Okay. But yeah, now I can kind of shump this around the other connection that already exists. So I took this and made it a little hook, and I'm just looping it around the existing connection. That seems pretty solid. Oh, no, my other one came out. How'd that happen? I must have let go too early. Sometimes it takes a minute for the solder to cool and everything to get set up nicely. Okay, so if I've done this correctly... Oh, nope. Apparently not. That's surprising. We should be hooked into the ground line. Let me double check that this still works. Okay, cool, that's good. Oh, maybe that's not where it actually connects. No, that is where it connects. Huh. What's the problem? Maybe I pulled the pad off of the PCB somehow. That would be bad. Go in there. This connection... Oh, I didn't short it, did I? That would be bad. Make sure both of, like, everything in there is getting all nice and hot and connected. Also got a little solder bead over here. Get out of there. Okay, let's see. Nope, still nothing. That's surprising. Oh, this is coming from the potentiometer, not from the power hookup. That makes sense. Okay. So we've got this power lead coming from the pot, which means that as long as this is on... Yeah, this switch basically does nothing right now. Doop. Oh no! Oh, I might have done something bad. Uh-oh. Maybe I shorted something out. Let's disconnect this for now. Good thing I have another lamp, huh? Oh no! Yep, those are definitely burned out. Look at these guys. I guess they couldn't handle the whole 9 volts. They look pretty scorched in there. Ooh! Okay, so what I'm going to do is switch these guys out, and a resistor would have been good. A current limiting resistor would have been very good. In the meantime, yeah, so I'm going to swap out the LEDs. Maybe I won't get my dream of the switch. No, I'm determined to make it happen. It's gonna happen. Okay, we'll get there. Let's pull these out. And since I bent the legs every which way, they're a little bit angry. Oh, let's take the battery off. Yes. Oh. And hopefully the LEDs are all that I've burnt out. They couldn't handle the truth. But again, I've got 100 of them, so whatever. Three more LEDs, and we will check that it works before doing anything else. Because I'm hoping that it's just the LEDs that got burnt out, but we don't know. If you want to be lazy about it, you can kind of do this. Go in there. I'm just trying to sort of heat up the other side of the PCB and get the legs through. There we are. I put that on the right way, right? Yep, flat side to the left. Come on in. There we go. These aren't shorted or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and turn up the strobe and see what happens. Oh, we're back. Okay, cool. What about this one? That one's just, okay. As soon as they're all soldered up again, we're going to be good. That's good. So all I've done is burnt out my previous set of LEDs, and that's fine. And I guess I'm going to stick with the strobe for now. I think we've spent enough time on this project. But I do want to show you some cool stuff about how the writing works. Because it's really cool. So we're going to stick this back in the little diffuser. Stick that back in the case. Doop-de-doop. Cool. And then just bend this around so that it fits all nice in the enclosure without stressing our connections. Looks nice. Here's our battery backing thing. Let's screw it all back together. Oh, they come from this side. Cool. Since this is a plastic enclosure, when I screw it back together, I start by turning to the left a couple of turns first. And what that does is it allows me to feel when the screw drops into its threads. Come on, what are you doing? And that means that I'm not going to accidentally cross-thread it, which would sort of destroy the threading on the plastic. And since the screw is made of metal, it definitely can do that. Usually you'll feel a little sort of drop. You may even hear it. I'm not getting it here, but that's close enough. There we go. All right. Are we good? We're good! Cool. So, clearing off all this detritus, I'm going to turn off the lights again. And this is going to be maybe a little overwhelming. Maybe I need a diffuser over the actual light. Let's do this. I'm going to put it inside of a paper envelope that will help to sort of dim and distribute it a little bit. Regular office envelope. And I'm going to turn it on so that it's kind of on the paper. What's the best way to do this? Which entails some sort of weird propping system. It's got a little kind of prop thing built into it, but I don't want to rely too much on that. Okay, that should work somewhat. What does it look like? Excellent. Okay. So I have put this Noodler's ink inside of a fountain pen. This is just a cheap $5 fountain pen that I found on the internet because I love fountain pens, and I'm excited to have found an excuse to own it. So, I'm just gonna hold this in my left hand actually. Okay, you can see that the ink actually fluoresces green inside of this transparent pen, translucent pen. Which is a really cool effect in itself. And then when we want to write or draw or whatever, we can say as you can see, I have terrible handwriting. It's a little better when I'm focusing. But yeah, check that out. And in the regular light, it vanishes. Blank paper, spooky paper, blank paper, spooky paper. I love this. Okay, so yeah, I hope that this helps you understand how to hack together your own things from regular, everyday household objects, like your regular, everyday household strobe light. I don't know, those are pretty common around this time of year, so make your own spooky messages, hack your own lights, show us what else you come up with. I've got a couple of Inktober projects where I used this, and that was pretty cool. Inktober is an initiative where you draw things with ink, one thing per day for the whole month. I'm really terrible at it, so I've only done like 4 things, but I really enjoy just playing around with this stuff because secret messages are cool. Anyway, have a great Halloween. We'll see you again before then, but yeah, hack on. Show us what you make. Thanks.